How will the health of your liver, brain or arteries change if you make just one change in your diet? Giving up added sugar. How will your behavior and your blood work change? How will your body fat percentage and energy levels change? Will your digestive symptoms improve? Dr. Borja Bandera here, your Spanish physician and endocrinologist, and today we talk about the changes that occur in your body when you stop consuming added sugars. First, we must be very clear about what added sugar is and how it differs from sugars that are intrinsically present in food. It's very easy. Added sugar is sugar that does not naturally exist in a food or beverage and is added during processing to increase sweetness or improve palatability. Does an apple have added sugar? Answer is no. It has naturally occurring simple sugars, which are neither problematic nor harmful. Where is the added sugar? Short answer, everywhere, but mainly in sugary soft drinks, juices, ultra-processed foods, sometimes very hidden in sweets and pastries, and in candies and jelly beans. Note that giving up refined carbohydrate will have very similar effect as they are quickly converted to glucose in your digestive system. There are situations in which the consumption of simple sugars in moderation is not harmful. Athletes who need a quick intake of carbohydrates during physical exercise and in efforts lasting more than 1 hour, or who need a quick muscle recovery after training, benefit from consuming some simple sugars. Although even for them, the consumption of simple sugars should not be proportionally high in relation to the consumption of other foods. The main problem related to a high intake of simple sugars are the following. First, cardiovascular disease. A high consumption of sugars increases the so-called LDL oxidation. LDL cholesterol is a lipoprotein that can get into the wall of your arteries and form fatty artery plaques. But this happens mainly when LDL cholesterol is oxidized, and this is what simple sugars do. On the other hand, they favor a process called protein glycosylation, which is basically the binding of those sugars to some proteins, which hinders the function of those proteins and worsens cells' health. Liver disease. The consumption of simple sugars, and especially of fructose, added through ultra-processed products and soft drinks, damages the liver and greatly favors the accumulation of fat in this important organ. This fructose does not elevate a very important hormone, which is leptin, which is the hormone that makes us stop eating, gives the signals of satiety to the brain. As a consequence, drinks and foods rich in fructose do not generate satiety, and you can keep consuming and consuming and consuming it without even noticing. Visceral and subcutaneous fat accumulation. This is because a diet high in simple sugars will make you eat more calories throughout the day, as it keeps you hungry for much of the day. Poorer dental health. The number of cavities and even oral pharyngeal infections will increase considerably. You will have lower energy levels. You will find yourself tired more often, even if you have slept the number of hours you should sleep daily, and you will feel especially tired after eating. Now let's see what happens in your body when you give up added sugars for 6 weeks. Let me know in the comments if you have experienced any of these changes so that others who have not yet given up sugar can be encouraged to do so. First 2 weeks. These first 2 weeks are the final test, and if you get through them, you will probably never want to try sugar again, or at least you will do it sporadically and not on a daily basis. As soon as you give up sugar, you will notice the following symptoms. Low energy levels. Consuming simple sugars almost continuously, either in main meals or in snacks, generates a major problem. You're barely access to your fat stores, and you are always oxidizing glucose. This generates a dependency on this fuel, and your cells become more clumsy in oxidizing fat. This sluggishness will last for at least 10 to 14 days and translate into lower energy levels that can make the road very difficult to you. Irritability. This has to do with overstimulation of the reward centers in your brain that produce simple sugars and other highly palatable products. You have suddenly taken away from your brain something very stimulating, and now it misses it. Something that has a correlation in the release of certain neurotransmitters such as dopamine. And beware, this doesn't just happen with simple sugars. It also happens with the compulsive consumption of social media or adult content. The brain loves the immediately reinforcing content, immediate stimulation, but this makes us weaker and more dependent on these substances and screens. Difficulty concentrating or brain fog. For the two previously mentioned reasons, we are less effective at concentrating on a task that requires high cognitive demands. You will experience increased hunger and need to eat carbohydrates. In the same vein, you will crave simple sugars on a frequent basis. It's very important that if you have decided to give up simple sugars, you avoid bringing them into your house. That is, don't buy them. If you have them handy, it's very likely that in a low moment you will consume them. And can you minimize these symptoms? Of course, by progressively reducing the amounts of simple sugars and not eliminating them all at once from one day to the next, which is what most people tend to do. Tomorrow I quit smoking, tomorrow I quit sugar, tomorrow I join the gym. Wrong. Progressiveness. Let your body and your mind adapt to the changes. Weeks 3 to 4. A much more positive stage begins now, as you will start to see the results that you were waiting for. Some will even experiment them as early as the second week. Better digestions. The added fructose is absorbed only in certain quantities in the digestive tract, since its transporter becomes saturated when you add too much fructose in a short period of time. All the fructose that is not absorbed can generate intestinal problems, such as bloating and abdominal pain. In fact, many fructose intolerances are simply the result of a long-term high fructose diet. When you go several weeks without simple sugars, especially fructose, you will find that your digestion is lighter and you have fewer digestive symptoms. In general, your digestive system will function better. Metabolic flexibility. This means that your body is already adapting to oxidize both glucose and fat as the situation requires. Doing low to moderate intensity exercise and during fasting period, between meals, you will predominantly oxidize fat, while training intensely and right after eating will oxidize glucose. You will have more stable energy levels. This means that you have more sustained energy levels. You will notice this by not having to continually turn to snacks throughout the day or during work. It's a very liberating feeling and one of the most appealing feelings of giving up sugar, guys. Less cravings. You will have more self-control over what you eat, and you won't surprise yourself getting up continuously to look in the fridge to see what you can eat. Last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, you will see more profound changes in your body and in your blood work, for example, which will be sustained as long as you don't revert to a previous pattern of consumption. You will see an improvement in your blood work, as I mentioned. You will see a decrease in LDL cholesterol, a decrease in triglycerides. Sometimes there is also a decrease in uric acid, a decrease of hepatic transaminases when they are elevated due to an accumulation of fat in the liver, a decrease in insulin resistance and fasting glycemia. Very positive changes in your blood work. You will see a lowering of your blood pressure levels. Hypertension or high blood pressure is one of the problems that causes the most deaths due to cardiovascular causes every year. You will see that by removing sugar, your daily blood pressure controls will improve substantially. Lower levels of subcutaneous and visceral fat. This will of course lead to a lower body weight, but more important than this, you are eliminating the type of fat that is most damaging to your heart and to your arteries, which is visceral fat. And what seemed tasteless to you before will now start to taste good to you. This may seem like an insignificant detail, but it's extremely important. Why? Many people don't eat fruits, vegetables, and legumes because they find them tasteless. This is the consequence of eating ultra-processed foods for years, because these products are so reinforcing to the palate that you stop appreciating other less powerful natural flavors. When you give up sugar and at least 2 months go by, you will see that a strawberry tastes different to you, or that vegetables taste different to you. And this is very positive because it will change your relationship with healthy food. So much for today's video. Thanks for being there. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. See you soon and stay strong.